Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Suzerain, a safe space in which we be awesome, where we're running this country straight into the dirt. Anyway, let's read some news reports. Isolated polio cases seen in Bergia. Several villages in Bergia have been safely placed under quarantine after a few polio cases were diagnosed in the region. The outbreak is largely confined to Welland, and there is a large chance of further infections occurring in Sordland. Even if there was, the disease's most notorious symptom, paralysis, is only seen in a minute percentage of cases, and there is no need to alter the Sordish way of life, as Prime Minister Pascal Bonawall has suggested with his vaccination program in order to prevent its spread. Polio cases explode in Bergia. Alright, well, this seems to be the thing today. Concerning news from Bergia, several cases of polio have recently been diagnosed in the region. The outbreak, thought to have originated across the border in Welland, is currently confined to just a few villages which are now under stricter quarantine. Excuse me. However, Health Minister Pascal Bonawall has called for swift action, including countrywide vaccination, to prevent the case numbers from multiplying. We concur... excuse me. We concur that this disease, which is known to cause paralysis in several cases, is a serious threat and must be contained at all costs. Two very differing opinions on the matter. Rayne will visit both Sordland and Lesbia for trade deal. President Rayne has scheduled visits to both Lesbia and Sordland to discuss possible trade deals with the leaders of both countries. It is unclear what the goal of these trade talks will be, although some insiders speculate that Rayne is hoping to gather allies in anticipation of the eventual confrontation with Rumburg. What is clear is that it will be hard to negotiate with both Sordland and Lesbia simultaneously, without choosing sides between either Arcasia or United Contana. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm well aware. Read the report from Gelsord. Recession hits workers. As in the rest of Sordland, workers in Gelsord are bearing the brunt of the recession. The manufacturing sector has been hit particularly hard, as a record number of factory workers filed for unemployment over the past month. And nothing good going on anywhere at any time. Alright, read the report from Narbo. Medical staff salaries increased. The wage increase for doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers has gone into effect in Narbo. Hospitals and clinics are already reporting a higher level of patient satisfaction, while the rural incentive provided on top of the salary raise is expected to draw more highly qualified medical staff to the area. Well, that's nice. You know, the healthcare system wasn't exactly my priority, but I'm okay with it. If I can accidentally fix something in the process, I'm all game. Morning haze surrounded the city of Dare as the sun dawned on the day of Ascension, the holiest day in the Nurity religion. Celebrated the first message received from God by Saint Dast and his 30 disciples. She is 30. 12 is a lot. 30? As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the arch sanctuary of Dasternity, closed to the public eye. This year, however, was the first time ever it was going to be televised. This was Lucian's idea, as he saw it granting the people a rare glimpse of the grand ceremony and showing them how seriously their president took this holy event would erase any tensions that lingered in the region. Oh, that's just screaming for something to go wrong. And so we arrived at the largest cathedral in Sordland. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance. This will work out well, trust me, sir. Of course, that's only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Don't forget the order. First, you will need to grasp the holy scepter. Hang on. Okay. Grasp scepter. Left hand. I'm just going to cheat here. Left hand. Then touch the altar with your right. Touch altar. Right hand. Kneel before the archpriest and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Kneel before priest, archpriest, sword on shoulder. Alright. Then touch the sword with your hand you touch the altar with. Hand the scepter over to the archpriest and receive the sword before passing it on to a disciple. One moment. I threw off my sock before I recorded, and I'm realizing that my foot is cold now. So I'm going to put that back on. Hey, we YouTubers got to take a break sometimes, you know? Sometimes we got to take off our socks. Alright, hey. Touch sword. Hand you touch the altar with. Touch sword. Right hand. Altar touch. Hand the scepter over to the archpriest and receive the sword before passing on to a disciple. Okay. Hand over scepter. Receive sword. Pass on to disciple. Okay. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Okay, well, if it's only those 8 things, then that's fine. That's easy. I can do that. It's just a ceremony, whatever. Yeah, sure. I understand a word you just said. It's just a yeah, sure. Very good. You will have to go first. I will come inside later, and we will meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir. Exit the car. As I exited the car and was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes, I waved to the people as I made my way to the Grand Gate. Yeah, because isn't the Day of Dissension, like, really against the Blutish people or whatever? So I'm going to have to, at some point, make some sort of weird decision or something. The Arch Sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it casts a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top. Just standing next to it made me feel awe and dread in equal measures. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The archpriest and his disciples are waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they all bowed their heads in respect. The archpriest... Wow, that is not a good face. Ugh. The archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back up. Tall and handsome, in his mid-50s, he was one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even likened him to Saint Dast. Mr. President, praise God. It is a blessing to see you on our most holy day again. Welcome, welcome. Bow your head before the archpriest. No, grab scepter, left hand. Archpriest. Thank you, it is nice being it's nice to be here in Dare today. I'm gonna bow my head. I bowed my head before the archpriest, which triggered a few murmurs of approval from the crowd. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both of his hands, and everyone immediately fell silent. O great people of Sordland, once again we are gathered here to honor the Day of Dissension. I am indescribably happy to be... I thought that said indestructibly. Happy to be sharing this moment with you, as well as every blood and sword, young and old, tuning into their television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons and daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises. Disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Be good, my children. Praise God. Praise Sordland. He smiled beautifully as the crowd burst into rapturous applause. After it subsided, he turned to me. Shall we move inside for your confession? Pull the archpriest aside for a photo. Sure, let's get this over with. I don't want to say let's get this over with. Yeah, I'll pull him aside for a photo. I pulled the archpriest aside for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes at the same time. I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. This entire thing is popularity. Most excellent. He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and nearest icons lining the walls. He walked up to a creaking spiral staircase to the top floor and finally arrived in the front of the confession chamber. Right this way. He gestured towards a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light each and every one of the candles, one of each virtue and vice. I will be right with you. He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. Anton Rayne, speak. Speak and confess now before the one God, and may he repent your sins on the most holy day of dissension. I confess that I was involved in bribery. I confess that I am not sure what I am doing for Sordland is enough. I confess that I am not sure what I am doing for Sordland is enough. Yeah, that's one of those things where you go into a job interview, it's just like, what's your biggest weakness? She's like, my biggest weakness is that I'm an amazing worker and I work too hard. You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like. I still don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for it yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of Nurity, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you would like to confess? I was involved in bribery? I ain't confessing that. Confess that I have been a bad husband. Family is the cornerstone of society. Under the watchful eyes of the God, men are required to protect their wives and family. But God created us as complex creatures. At times, conflicts rise among us. Tell me, what was your sin? I've been neglecting my family due to the stress of my position. That's between me and God. I failed to support my wife at the Benfi festival. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have, but you know. A husband must support his wife. I have taken the vows, and you have taken the vows, you must hold them. In this case, however, it is different. A woman's place is beside her family, not political podium. Alright, well, no words on that. Anything else you would like to confess? No, that's it for today. Before God, I thank you for sharing. You are now forgiven before God, Anton Rayne. May you never sin again. The sliding window closed, and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of your virtues and vices. With this, the once burning sins connected to you and are now smoke and then nothing. Extinguish the candles. One by one, I extinguish the candles. Ow, ow, fucking ow, ow, it hurts my hands, ow. Well done, Mr. President. Let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony. He led me through the 1,000-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. Man, like, people in Europe and, like, Asia and stuff, they got those kinds of old, like, thousands or whatever-year-old buildings. I live in North America, right? You know, the oldest buildings we got are, like, 200, maybe 300 years. You know, those are the official ones. We got some smaller buildings that are older than that, of course. Native stuff. But for the most part, like, it's surreal to me to think of, like, an official, like, modern-day position of a person working, like, a modern job in an ancient building. That flabbergasts me. It's just so bizarre, but also it, like, makes perfect sense, right? Like, the entire intention of the building is that it would stand the test of time and continue to be used for this crap for like, thousands of years. But, like, thinking about it, it's just so weird. Like, it's fascinating me. Then, please have a seat. The wooden chair, I thought this said woolen, the wooden chair next to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. Are you ready for the ceremony? Absolutely. Let's get on with it. Yeah, I don't want to sound, like, dismissive, you know? Absolutely. That's good to hear. He leaned back in his chair comfortably. I wanted to give you something, a gift to celebrate this special day. He pulled out a large rectangular box from his desk drawer. A box was lined with gold and expensive gemstones. A beautiful sight, isn't it? He opened the box and showed me what was inside. It was a dagger. The handle looked like it was made of pure gold and had a very large gem on the end. Excuse me. On the blade, the words were inscribed, Vectern Sista, victory is close. On the other side, the words, another set of words, King Egmont. This dagger belonged to King Egmont. King Edmund. It is a very important artifact of the Kingdom of Sordland era. It is now yours, Mr. President. I thank you. It is an honor. Think of the past and think of who you are now. Traditions are what brought us to this point. Now then, it should be right about time. A couple knocks were heard on the door, and a young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, before letting us know that the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs, where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically as the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymn, an expectant silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. I started my walk, bowed, and approached the altar. Grab scepter, left hand, then touch altar with right hand. Grab scepter, left hand, touch altar, right hand. Do it correctly. Make sure you're doing it correctly. Yeah, that's what I was told. Bow to the archpriest. Kneel before archpriest. Scepter in hand, I knelt before the archpriest. The archpriest lay the sword on my shoulder. Touch the sword with my right hand. Sword on shoulder. Touch sword, right hand. Altar touch. Touch sword with right hand. Just making sure that I get it right. Hand the scepter to the archpriest. Hand over scepter. Receive sword. Pass on to disciple. Oh shit. I think I would have got that though. Hand the scepter to the archpriest. I think that's right. I'm waiting for him to give me the sword. The archpriest handed me the sword. Pass the sword to the disciple. Hand the sword back to the archpriest. Place the sword on the altar. Stab myself in the chest. Pass the sword to a disciple. I got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear. Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir. Yeah, first steps to... I got an achievement, my dude. Hang on, let me see what this is. Okay, good, you'll see the game. Alright, what achievement did I just get? Successfully partake in the Dissension Day ceremonies. 31% of people got this achievement. I'm amazing. Alright. My eyes met the archpriest, and he very slightly nodded. The ceremony went on for another hour and a half. Finally, the noon bells chimed, marking the end of the cathedral service. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We waved proudly for a minute or two. See, sir, I told you it would work. We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in Dare. Fuck yeah, Lucian! Yeah! Oh, the highway's on its damn way. Hell yes, my dude. Ah, love that everything worked out. I love it when things just work, you know? The President attends the Day of Dissension. As part of the grand ceremony, the Day of Dissension has begun with the festivities in Dare. President Rayne is in attendance along with His Holiness, Archbishop, who together performed the sacred ritual. The immense occasion was celebrated by everyone, regardless of their rank and status. Sordland has once again felt unity amidst chaos to come together. Forgot their differences and celebrated the Word of God. Now, real life, I'm agnostic. But, you know, I'm not disrespectful to people who wish to believe what they wish to believe. That's the beauty of humanity. You can believe in whatever you wish. Or rather, you should be able to. That's not always how it works in practice. Cabinet meeting with the results of the vote. Lucian stood upright, holding a large folder with files under his arm. He bowed in acknowledgement. He looked exhausted. Yeah. The cabinet has gathered in the white room, sir. The vice president will be opening this session soon. We can go in whenever you're ready. Anything you want to say before we go in? Thank you, Lucian. You look tired. How are you holding up? No, sir. Just keep your cool with the cabinet. I believe concerns will be raised in the meeting. What are you saying? Should I be expecting something? What concerns? All right, let's go in and hear them out. Of course, sir. Excuse me. Lucian held the door for me, and we both left the office of the White Room. It's very white. It's the whitest room. Oh my god, that white room. When we entered the room, Peter was speaking to the cabinet members who were already seated around the table. As soon as they noticed me, they all stood up. Gesture at their seats. Good day, everybody. Please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, say nothing and watch the room. Well, I'm definitely not going to walk in, have them all notice me and stand up, and then do nothing. Gesture at their seats. Peter turned towards me. Everybody except him took their seats. He stood next to my chair in the middle. And here's our president. He held out my chair for me to sit down and smile. Please. I sat down. Let Peter talk. What's on our agenda? We'll be discussing our current status and planning the remainder of our term. Peter walked to his seat and didn't sit down. He took a look at the ministers. Now that Mr. President is here, we can begin the meeting. I know that some of you have had your concerns about our style of governance so far. There will be a time to speak up about these in the meeting today. But I must also thank you all for your hard work so far. We are very lucky to have a team like this. All of you have been invaluable to this administration. Lilias grimaced at his remarks. Having said that, now that we've reached the critical point of our term, we're nearing the end. We worked long and hard, but we couldn't reform the Swordish constitution. Organization was flawed. Our party was not united. The very parliament we control has denied us the reforms. Lucian and I have begun investigating who let us down at the vote when we needed them the most. Gloria and the conservative wing of the party didn't back us up. Franz Richter and the PFJP left us hanging on the assembly floor. They voted nay. Casaro Kibbener and the National Front MPs didn't like the proposal and voted against it. He paused and looked around the room. But the past is the past. We must now look towards our future. We're investigating and analyzing our faults. We'll be taking measures accordingly. He glanced at both Lucian and me. Our party still remains divided. In order to look at the future, we may need some changes. On the other hand, the opposition is exploiting our failure to reform. The latest poll shows a steep increase in the opposition's support. So let's start the meeting with a brief look at some reports. He fumbled with a stack of papers in front of him. With the latest developments, we have seen a decrease in our popularity. The public opinion has shrunk since we took office. He took out a piece of paper from the stack and inspected it. Making sure your concern of the people is the state of our economy. We're slowly slipping into a depression. So have dire consequences on our administration. We mustn't lose hope and give it our best. Sordland needs us more than ever. Peter turned to me. I'll give the word of the president to the president now. He sat down. Mr. Vice President, thank you for the opening. All right, let's start the meeting. Everyone's eyes are focused on me. First, I want to hear brief reports from each ministry. First, I want to talk about our new focus and some of my forward plan. Brief reports. Yeah, Peter gestured at Simon and he immediately stood up. Mr. President, dear colleagues, Mr. Vice President was pretty on point with the summary of the current economic status. He also used the word depression. He couldn't have been more correct. Our GDP has shrunk by 15% last year. This downward trend has broken our economy over the last years. If we cannot contain this in time, we will end our term, in the truest sense of the word, in a depression. However, this is not yet reflected well with our debt situation. Our total national debt has increased about 85 billion SR this year. If we maintain such a deficit over the next years, we will face a massive debt crisis, which could crash the economy. The Assembly is working on introducing new tax bills, which will generate more revenue for the government. These efforts will depend on the government deficit situation. On the other hand, unemployment has seen no positive changes. There has been an increase in joblessness. It is now at 26%. We've lost control of the situation. We caused millions of people to lose their jobs. He paused for a moment. Okay, I think I've heard enough. Let's move on to the next report. This is terrible. Is there more to it? Well, I don't want to get into too much detail right now, but I have to say that the failure to open our first infrastructure project was costly. Fortunately, we expect to see it finished in the next months. But apart from all of that, I'll finish with an update on our latest project. The manager reported that everything is going well and very fast with the Conrad Industrial Zone. Hang on. Oh yeah, it's zooming. I'll keep it brief for the sake of the whole meeting and end my report on that note. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Gus stood up as soon as Simon sat down. I will also keep it very brief, Mr. President. Our farmers are still suffering. Our ministry did its best by giving our subsidies to local farmers, but our agricultural production remains the same. Excuse me. That would be all from me. Thank you, Mr. Manger. Good, let's move on to the next report. Thank you. Next up is Pascal. Mr. President, our state facilities require immediate attention. We're experiencing long lines in front of hospitals everywhere. We are also currently investigating some reports of a small polio outbreak around a village called Haymere. I believe we can get more details in our policy meeting. These reports keep getting shorter. Good, let's move on to the next report. I'm going to say thank you to everyone. Losef stood up. The Ministry of Defense is a very important report regarding our situation with Rumburg. The investigation showed that Rumburg was in fact weaponizing rebels against our state. We have learned that they have been aiding the Blutish rebels in Welland too. Our military must stand ready for any possible attack coming from Rumburg. We have gathered intelligence regarding the military research and production. They are building a massive army. Our military forces don't have the budget to prepare against such a force. We cannot let them threaten us like this. Make the necessary arrangements, Mr. Lancia. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limit. Don't think we should escalate. Let's refrain from sending them a response. Oh, they're going to attack us. It is factually going to happen. Of course, sir. David stood up. Mr. President, Perla and Helm have agreed to begin deal negotiations. We'll be moving on to that very soon. The region is very unstable. With the incidents at Rumburg, Welland, and Helgeland, we must be very cautious. We can talk in more detail at our foreign policy meeting. Thank you, Mr. Whiskey. Ciara was next. Our ministry is working day and night to improve our education system and increase its accessibility. We have since greatly improved our rural education, building new schools and bringing new equipment and books. We have accomplished a lot with our new curriculum. Our reforms will be greatly improving our output as a society. Lilia suddenly stood up. Mr. President, we have important equipment missing from several of our major police departments. We might need to implement some new measures soon. We will provide you with more detailed report at a later date. One last thing. I would like to transfer the gendarmerie under the Ministry of Interior to improve the internal security efforts. I haven't heard of this before. I don't see Losef accepting this. If you need more help, I can surely arrange a transfer. You wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't necessary. The Ministry of Defense shouldn't be meddling with internal security affairs through the gendarmerie. I think it's supposed to be gerrymander. Every word in this game is broken and mixed up, and I hate it. We had several incidents where they were too violent too quickly, and it stems from military officers giving reckless orders at times. The military is always a little harsh. Well, if the security situation gets too problematic, then it might be necessary. I am not so sure how to help. Right. It will eventually cause a problem between our forces. There are already miscommunications going on. We will transfer the gerrymander to the interior in the future. I will support the authority transfer. Now it's your turn. Can't make that promise, so Steph would be furious. Here's the thing, right? I don't know what that is. Let me read up on that. I didn't actually... is an armed law enforcement organization which maintains security, safety, and public order in the rural regions of Sordland and executes duties ascribed to it by other laws. The General Command is subordinated to the Ministry of Defense. 1899. Most people begin to identify with the state itself. Now it's your turn. Excellent. Lilias smiled faintly. Thank you for your reports. You have anything to share, Ms. Morgna? Nia shook her head. And not on this note, Mr. President. We are already well aware of what's going on. I will update you on the next step in the judiciary in another meeting. Thank you. Nia took her seat. Next, I would like to talk about our new focus and some of my plans forward. It's time to focus on changing our party as a whole. I will add a new vision in our manifesto. Public opinion is concerning. We must focus on campaigning for the next election already. The state of our economy is very concerning. It must be our focus to achieve quick economic development. Yes, that one. That one. Because if we fix the economy right at the end, people's opinion of us will go up. Simon nodded in agreement. Sordland needs to become an economic powerhouse. We can't get elected if we don't improve the economy. We should focus on eliminating poverty and homelessness. Economic powerhouse. Almost everybody seemed to be in agreement with me. If there are no comments, let's move on with the meeting. I believe that is everything. Oh, is that it? Okay. Everybody packed up and left the White Room. I went back to my office. The last 2.5 years had gone by so fast. That's a lot of shit going on around the country. Excuse me. Our next focus will be on eliminating the recession. Alright, that sounds like a great focus. I'm going to read some of these reports and then end the episode. Read the report from Boren. Man, it's Boren. Boren inflation report. Inflation's still bad. There have been reports from... Wow, squeak. That is the first time my voice has squeaked in like a decade or two. There have been reports of a lack of daily supplies in the city of Boren. Citizens in the city are dying of hunger and are lacking necessary supplies. The mayor of Boren reported that people are buying and hoarding goods before the Swedish Wren loses any more value. Unfortunately, their actions had only made their situation worse. Yeah, if there's shit going on, never hoard anything. That's how you fuck everything up. Are you kidding? Read the report from Estord. Gang violence claims more lives. The police chief of Estord reported that the local police forces are overburdened in their fight against the Coronelli crime syndicate. According to the report, over the last month, 3 policemen, 6 civilians, and 11 mob members have been killed by the ongoing gang war between the Skinner cartel and the Coronelli. Anti-government protests. Oh, that's not good. Yesterday morning, a group of protesters assembled in front of the Gelsord City Hall and have not yet dispersed. The group was responsible for blocking out vehicles, including city buses and transport trucks, and have been handing out anti-government pamphlets to passerbys. The mayor of Gelsord reported that the situation posed no active danger and that the people are only exercising their right to protest. Well, as long as it stays that way, right? People can protest all they want, as long as that's all they're doing. Read the report from Antel. Whistleblower agent report. Agent Hailstone has revealed intelligence about a secret nuclear weapons program developed in Rumburg. Our intelligence has verified that the details relied on a heavy water facility in the north of the kingdom and a ballistic missile test site. The agent will be provided security under the protection program. Will be given resources to transfer intelligence to our units. Not good. Not good. Address to the nation speech. Alright, well, that'll have to be next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I, of course, am Keywii. We wish you a delightful day. I love you all. Goodbye.